My client can't visualize. My client can't see anything. My client sees black. Oh no, what am I going to do? If you do guided visualization in any of your healing techniques, you have been here before. So I'm going to be taking this moment to share with you what the heck is going on here, how to approach these circumstances, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to be sharing with you what I use that virtually eliminates these from your sessions. Welcome back to another video. My name is Matt Schmidt and I guide people to heal themselves. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to get around when your client isn't seeing anything, when they're not experiencing things in the way that you're expecting them to, kind of what's going on there, some possibilities of what's happening, and how to navigate these. All right. So this is for anyone that does guided visualization, meditation, any of the hypnosis techniques. This is very useful because everyone runs into this situation. Okay. So I'm going to be taking you through what I do and what's really helped me to navigate these situations. First of all, don't freak out. The second you start freaking out and you get this idea like, oh no, they're not where they're supposed to be, they're going to be feeling that, even if you don't say that. Just keep encouraging them, being positive, even if in the back of your mind you're like, oh crap, this isn't going well. Because they're where they are supposed to be, even though it may not feel like it for you. So the first step is kind of letting go of your own expectations of where you think they're supposed to be or how they're supposed to be getting information. I've had people that haven't experienced anything for almost a half an hour. And then we got to a point and it was like a dam broke. They just started like, blah, 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 blah. Like I stopped writing, I stopped taking notes because it went from nothing to I couldn't keep up. And it was because I asked like later in the session what was going on. And her higher consciousness explained that they communicate to her through feeling. And after her husband passed, she completely shut that off. So once she opened up to feeling again, it was like the floodgates broke, and I almost pulled the plug on the session. I don't even know why I kind of stuck with it in hindsight, but we just had to get to that point, and then she was getting exactly what she needed. Okay, so was not textbook at all, but she eventually got there. Okay, so kind of letting go of what you think it's supposed to look like, and there's a reason that they are in a place where they are experiencing things in the way that they are. First of all, I've learned there's a lot of dark places in the world. I don't care how well you can visualize. If you're hiding in a closet, you're not going to see anything. If you're in a cave, if it's nighttime, if you're in a dark place, if you're blind, guess what? Not going to see anything. Okay, so we're such visual creatures, but when you start tapping into the other senses, then you can really pick up on what's going on. Okay, so what I do in those situations, start asking questions. Stay curious. Shift the focus away from the visualization, start asking better questions. And this will really kind of open up those doors for you. Even if they go back and they just describe everything as black. Oh, cool, black. Oh, tell me about the black. Oh, is it like inky? Is it velvety? Can you move back and forth? Are you just in one place? Are you standing, sitting? How are you observing this? You're floating? That's all going to start opening up these doors. And you can ask more and more questions about these. Also shifting into those other senses. Ooh, what sounds do you hear in this place where you are? Listen carefully. Okay, so they start shifting into those other senses. What are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are you noticing in your body? All different things that you can kind of ask around this. Okay, and that's going to give you information about what's going on, and it's going to open them up. Staying positive, just being curious, and staying generally excited, because basically you're getting them to get them into a state where they feel like they're doing something right. Okay, the second they're like, oh, I'm not doing this right, they shut down and they close that off. Just keep encouraging them, keep encouraging them. It's not a race, you'll get there. So be patient, give them the time that they need, especially in the beginning. Right? Tap into some of those other senses. When I ask what people feel, oh, I feel like chains on my wrists, but I don't see anything. Perfect, awesome. Go with all those first impressions. Okay, and follow those. Be curious, ask questions. and just keep them talking. The more they talk, it gets them in that flow state. They're not judging stuff, they're not analyzing stuff. Super, super easy. Okay. And once they get into it, it's almost like a fog gets lifted as they talk. They may be absolutely nowhere. I've had people go to what I call like the void space where there's nothing. They're not feeling anything, experiencing anything. It's just black. But a lot of times they'll say that there's nothing. And the nice thing is I get to go back and ask about why a person is where they are. And a lot of times when I ask about that like blank space, I'll be told, yeah, their life is so hectic. That's exactly where they needed to be to get relaxed enough to connect to what they needed to. And I find it fascinating. I used to try to pull them out of there or hurry them along. No, they're right where they need to be. Don't try to control it. Okay, just stay curious. Just allow it to go where it needs to go. And the same thing goes if they fall asleep too. Because stuff is still processing in their subconscious mind, and sometimes their physical body or their consciousness has to be out of the way for stuff to shift. I used to get scared when stuff happened, but or when they fell asleep. Oh no, they're falling asleep. Okay, that's right where they need to be. I've learned to honor those times more. So honor where they are at, and just stay curious. The other side of this may be maybe they don't visualize it well at all. Maybe they're not good at visualization. That's another reason for tapping into those other senses. Okay. They may also have expectations about what this process is. So you can actually negate those before you even get to this session by kind of addressing those, any concerns that they have, or any beliefs that they have that might hold them back. And you kind of get that all out of the way before the session even starts. Some of the other ways that I tap into some of these other senses, not everyone's visual. A lot of people are. It works great for a lot of the people, but some people aren't. And I'll be picking up on words that they're telling me during the interview part. If they're referring to things like, oh, and I felt this way, and I feel like this is the right answer, go with those words because that's how they get information. So start paying attention and listening to the words that they use and kind of meeting them where they're at there. One of the ways that I'll do this to get them to shift out of that visualization and putting so much pressure on themselves, I'll use other words. What are your first impressions? You know, because if they have an idea that they're supposed to have like a movie play out behind their eyelids or something, that's going to hold them back from getting these gentle images that are coming across their awareness. So what are your first impressions? Or what comes to mind? What do you feel? What do you sense? What do you notice? So that kind of detaches from having to be so visual and having to see. I don't even use the word see anymore, like very rarely. I will use imagine. Imagination is a great way or a great gateway into this non-physical reality. So use those words. All right, now I'm going to share with you something that you can do before your sessions where you'll be able to have the person connect to the way that they get information best. And this is a good one for you as well. There's so much happening in this short little exercise. I took this from my teacher, Lorna Wilson. This is in one of her books, and sharing this with permission. All right, so I'm going to guide you through this. So I'm pretending you're the client, so I'm going to walk you through this. And I just want you now to just close your eyes. Okay, the second the person closes their eyes, they shift that focus inward. And just take a nice deep breath. Now I want you to imagine you have a ball in your hands. It could be a baseball, a basketball, any kind of ball really, or maybe something entirely different. And just begin passing this ball from hand to hand. As you're passing it from hand to hand, share with me what you notice about the ball. The color, the size, the texture, the weight. And let them describe it to you, pulling in those other senses. Now imagine throwing the ball up in the air and catching it. As you're throwing it up in the air and catching it, something about the ball changes. Allow whatever to change, and then describe how it changes. Now throw it way high up in the air and imagine it becomes a balloon and drifts and floats away. When it's completely out of sight, you can simply open your eyes. All right, so in that short time, we accomplished so much. Okay? Half the people coming to you are thinking they're not going to be able to do this. You just convinced them right there that they could. Okay? One of the things that I'll say is I didn't tell you what to see, didn't tell you what to experience. I gave you some suggestions. You picked X. Awesome. I didn't tell you how it would change. All that evolved naturally. So you're showing them how this is a natural process, how that you're not making them do anything that they don't want to do. You're not telling them what to do. Like all this stuff is evolving naturally. Okay. Another thing I'll throw in too, I was like, well, what did that feel like? Most people are like, well nothing. So I'm like, yeah, exactly. This is what that state and this is what that space feels like. It's such an easy, natural process. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're convincing them that, oh yes, I can do this. Oh, I just did this. Oh my gosh, that was easy. All of these walls come down. Oh, he's not going to make me do anything I don't want to do. Oh, I'm not going to have this loss of control like I was worried about. So much happens in that short time. And then I think just about everyone I've ever had can do that. Okay. Oh, I can visualize. Oh, that's what that is? Well, that was nothing. That was just like an impression or just an idea. Awesome. You have their way now that they get stuff. I will even have some people that will tell me, I can't see anything, I can't feel anything. I know it's an old softball. Awesome. Go with that. That knowing is how they get information. So just reinforcing, like, that's the way that they'll get information when we do this. And all of a sudden you boost their confidence, those walls come down, you'll see their body language change. Sometimes you'll just jump right into the session from there. Like they'll throw up this energy ball, or they'll just start crying, or there'll be like this black gooey ball, and when they throw it up, they just break down in this emotional release. It can actually be so freeing, and sometimes we'll just start the session from there because it is that powerful. So you can do this all before you even start the session. It takes a minute or two and well worth your time. Right? So hopefully that helps you out. I know it's really made my sessions so much easier, and hopefully it will help your sessions as well. All right, we'll see you on the next video.